Have you ever found yourself looking at a pot of beans bubbling on the stove and wondering why they just don't come out as delicious or easy on the stomach as you remember from years ago? You're not alone. Many of us beyond the age of 65 have spent a lifetime perfecting home-cooked meals, yet beans, those nutritious little powerhouses, can be surprisingly tricky. Whether you're dealing with sudden indigestion or bland flavors that leave you unenthused, it might be more than just a getting older issue. Instead, it could be a matter of a few common cooking missteps that, once fixed, can make a world of difference for both taste and digestion. Beans are a staple in countless cuisines for a reason. They're budget-friendly, packed with protein and fiber, and can be adapted to countless recipes. But for older adults, there's an added bonus. Properly cooked beans can support heart health, provide energy without spiking blood sugar dramatically, and even help with maintaining muscle mass, something that becomes increasingly important as the years roll on. And let's not forget one of the biggest motivators, independence. The more nutrient-dense and satisfying our meals, the better equipped we are to maintain an active lifestyle, manage our weight, and avoid complications that could put a damper on our day-to-day activities. Yet many of us stick to the same cooking habits we've relied on for decades, unaware that our bodies and nutritional needs might have changed. If a certain way of preparing beans caused mild stomach troubles or took too long to digest in your 40s or 50s, those issues can become even more noticeable in your 70s and beyond. That's precisely why it's worth taking a fresh look at how you handle this versatile ingredient. By avoiding just a handful of pitfalls, you can open up a new world of flavorful bean dishes that you and your loved ones will relish, all while reaping health benefits that support your stage of life. In a moment, we'll explore 5 particularly common mistakes when cooking beans after 65. Each one is easy to slip into, even for seasoned home cooks. But here's the exciting news. Once you know what they are and how to avoid them, your beans can go from underwhelming to spectacular. You'll learn to reduce digestive discomfort, amplify the nutrients, and jazz up the flavor so that mealtime feels special, because you deserve nothing less. So why does this matter right now? Well, as we age, every meal is an opportunity to nourish our bodies in a way that supports independence, vitality, and enjoyment. Beans may look humble, but they are little nutrition dynamos when handled the right way. If you're ready to transform your bean cooking game, and if the thought of preparing satisfying, comforting dishes that keep you feeling your best sparks your interest, then stick around. By the time we're done, you'll have a roadmap to turning those bean-based meals into a highlight of your day. Before we dive into the specific mistakes, I'd love to know, how often are you cooking beans at home right now? If you have any tips or family traditions, feel free to share them with others. You might just inspire a fellow viewer to try something new. Now let's get into these 5 mistakes that could be standing between you and a perfect pot of beans. Mistake number 1 might seem too simple to matter, but it has a huge impact on flavor and digestibility. Skipping or rushing the soaking process. I often hear people say, "I never soaked beans when I was younger, and I turned out fine." Or, "I've heard soaking is old-fashioned. Modern beans don't need it." But our bodies change over time, and so do the beans you can buy at the store. The dryness level, age of the beans, and even the type of packaging can affect how they cook. Take Virginia, 74, who started noticing that whenever she made her famous navy bean soup, she'd experience bloating that made her uncomfortable for hours. She had never bothered with soaking before, relying on the slow cooker to do all the work. But as time went on, her digestive system wasn't handling the unsoaked beans as well as it used to. Frustrated, she contemplated giving up on beans altogether, believing maybe it was time to accept that certain foods weren't for her anymore. The transformation happened when she gave soaking a try. She found a simple process online. Rinse the beans, place them in a large pot, cover them with water by 2 inches, and let them soak overnight. The next day, she drained and rinsed them again before cooking. The difference in her digestive comfort was immediate. The beans came out softer and caused significantly less bloating. Now, this isn't a medical cure-all. Everyone's digestion is different, and you should always speak with a healthcare provider if you have specific concerns. Yet soaking can help reduce some of the compounds in beans that lead to gastric discomfort, especially as our enzyme levels and gut flora change with age. Here's the step-by-step. First, pick over the beans to remove any debris. Rinse them thoroughly in cool water, then submerge them in a large pot of water. If you're short on time, a quick soak, bringing the beans to a boil for 2 minutes, then turning off the heat and letting them sit for an hour can also help. But ideally, you'll want a slow, overnight soak that truly allows the beans to soften. Rinse them once more before cooking, and you're good to go. Physically, soaking can make beans more digestible by reducing certain starches and phytic acids. Emotionally, it can restore your confidence in the kitchen, especially if you've been avoiding beans out of discomfort. You'll also notice an improvement in flavor. Beans cooked after soaking often taste creamier and absorb seasonings more effectively. It's a simple step, but the rewards can be huge. If you've never tried soaking before, give it a shot. Or if you used to soak beans but fell out of the habit, consider bringing it back. After you experience the difference, you might never go back to the old way. And if you do try it, let me know how it goes. Hearing about one another's experiences can help us all learn together. Now that we've tackled soaking, let's look at another misstep that often sneaks up on us. Adding salt incorrectly. It may sound counterintuitive, but the timing and amount of salt can dramatically affect how beans cook. Many folks remember their parents or grandparents saying, "Never add salt until the beans are almost done, or they'll never soften." But times have changed, and so has our understanding of what salt actually does. For instance, James, who is 67, was cooking beans in his new retirement apartment for a big family dinner. Determined to replicate the perfectly seasoned beans of his youth, he threw in a generous pinch of salt right from the start, just as he remembered his mother doing. But the beans turned out tough and took far longer to cook than expected. Confused, James asked a friend who's a culinary instructor what went wrong. The friend explained that while a small amount of salt in the soaking or early cooking stage can actually help break down bean skins, leading to a creamier texture, too much can interfere with water absorption. It's a balancing act. Nowadays, many experts suggest adding a modest amount of salt when you begin cooking, then adjusting to taste near the end. This approach can help the beans cook evenly and develop better flavor. If you hold off on salt entirely until the final stages, you might end up with beans that are dull and under-seasoned. Conversely, dumping in loads of salt at the start could indeed toughen the skins, making them more resistant to water. As seniors, we also have to think about sodium intake. If you're managing high blood pressure or other heart-related conditions, consult your doctor or a nutritionist about how much sodium you should be including. It's not just about flavor anymore, it's about overall health. The practical approach? Start with a teaspoon of salt per pound of dry beans added to the cooking water, then taste during the final phase and decide if you need more. This method allows the beans to slowly absorb a balanced amount of salt without toughening. In many cases, you'll end up using less salt overall because the flavor integrates deeply rather than sitting on top. You'll also find that you don't have to rely on as many last-minute salt fixes. Physically, this helps ensure your beans are tender all the way through. Emotionally, you might rediscover that sense of pride and joy in cooking for family and friends, knowing you've mastered the secret to well-seasoned beans. Feel free to experiment with sea salt, kosher salt, or other varieties. Just remember that a light hand early on can yield richer, deeper flavors later. After addressing salt, you might be thinking about cooking times. That's where our third mistake comes in: overcooking or undercooking because of confusing or outdated guidelines. Perhaps you read on a package label that black beans take an hour, but you end up simmering them for nearly 2 hours before they're edible. Or maybe you're so worried about turning them to mush that you stop cooking too soon, resulting in a firm texture that irritates your stomach. Lucinda, age 69, learned this the hard way. She was used to preparing bean dishes in a traditional stock pot. Then her son gifted her a fancy electric pressure cooker for her birthday. Excited to try it, she followed a random online recipe that promised perfectly cooked beans in just 20 minutes. Well, 20 minutes later, her beans were still chalky in the center, and she was left scrambling to figure out the right timing. She felt frustrated and even a little embarrassed when her dinner guests arrived and the main dish was nowhere near ready. What Lucinda discovered is that the type of bean, its age, and even the cooking method all play a role in determining the proper time. Older beans can require more time to soften. Some pressure cookers work at higher PSI, pounds per square inch, than others, which can shorten cooking times. And if you're cooking on the stovetop, you might need to consider altitude or even the mineral content of your water. Hard water can slow down softening. No wonder the guidelines sometimes feel like guesswork. The best strategy is to use any suggested times as a starting point, then trust your own tasting and observation. If you can easily mash a bean against the side of the pot with a fork, it's usually done or nearly done. Don't rely solely on the clock. For instance, pinto beans might take 40 minutes in one pressure cooker, but 55 minutes in another. On the stovetop, they could range anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes, or more if the beans are older. To avoid undercooking, do a quick taste test every 10 to 15 minutes once you pass the estimated cooking time. That might sound like a lot, but beans can go from firm to overcooked surprisingly quickly. Overcooking, on the other hand, can turn beans into a mushy paste, which isn't necessarily bad for certain recipes like refried beans, but might not be what you want for a hearty soup or salad. The physical benefit of getting the timing right is improved nutrient retention and better digestibility. If beans are too hard, they can be rough on older teeth and can lead to stomach discomfort. If they're mushy, you might not enjoy them as much and could end up eating fewer nutrient-rich legumes overall. Emotionally, nailing the cooking time can rekindle that sense of control and culinary adventure. Because let's be honest, there's a comforting pride in mastering a technique that tripped us up before. So if you find your beans are frequently off, it might be time to double-check your water type, cooking vessel, or the age of your beans, then adjust accordingly. If you've stuck with me this far, you're well on your way to bean cooking mastery. After 3 points, let's take a quick pause to check in. Have you ever struggled with cooking times for beans? If so, what's been your biggest frustration? Feel free to share your story or a tip that might help someone else. This kind of friendly exchange can really enhance our community of home cooks who are seeking delicious, healthy meals as we age. Onward to our fourth mistake, skipping those flavor-building steps that can elevate a basic bean dish into something memorable. The humble bean is actually a blank canvas. If you only ever cook them in plain water, you might be missing out on a huge world of taste. And let's face it, as we get older, taste buds can change. Some people find their sense of taste dulling slightly, others become more sensitive to certain flavors. Whichever camp you're in, layering in aromatic ingredients can bring beans to life in a way that satisfies your palate. Barbara, at 72, was always puzzled by how her friends' bean dishes tasted so rich and restaurant quality. Meanwhile, Barbara's own pinto beans always emerged bland. She figured, beans are beans. How flavorful can they really be? One day she watched her friend cook and noticed the secret. Onions, garlic, a bay leaf, and even some chopped carrots went into the pot right alongside the beans. Sometimes her friend would saute these aromatics in a little olive oil first, letting them release their natural flavors before adding the beans and water. That small step changed everything for Barbara. Sautéing onions, garlic, peppers, or other vegetables before simmering the beans sets a base layer of flavor. Adding herbs like thyme, oregano, or bay leaves can infuse the beans from the inside out. And if you enjoy a bit of spice, a pinch of chili flakes or a chopped jalapeno can keep the dish lively. The result is a dish that requires less salt overall, great news if you're watching your sodium, and transforms beans into a main attraction rather than a mere side dish. Why does this matter physically? When beans are full of flavor, you're more likely to eat them regularly, giving your body a steady supply of protein and fiber. Emotionally, good taste can turn a meal into a mini celebration. For many of us, cooking is one of the joys of life, something that brings families together and sparks happy memories. By adding these small, flavor-building steps, you're inviting a sense of creativity and pride back into your kitchen routine. If you're worried about digestive issues with ingredients like onions or garlic, try small amounts at first or use cooked-down versions. Some people find that well-cooked onions or garlic are gentler on their stomach than raw forms. As always, if you have specific concerns, maybe you're on certain medications or have gastrointestinal conditions, check with a healthcare provider for personalized advice. Now let's transition to the fifth and final mistake, sticking to just one type of bean and missing out on all the nutritional variety that other legumes can offer. Humans are creatures of habit. Once we discover a bean we like, say black beans or pinto beans, we might stick to it for years, rarely branching out. It's understandable. Routine can be comforting. But with so many bean varieties, from kidney beans to chickpeas, from lentils to cannellini beans, you could be missing out on unique nutrient profiles, different textures, and flavors that keep meals exciting. Consider Greg, who's 73. He'd eaten black beans every week since his 50s. One day he realized he was getting bored with the same old menu. He started skipping bean nights, choosing more processed options out of habit or convenience. This shift nudged his diet toward foods higher in sodium and unhealthy fats, and he noticed he wasn't feeling as energized as before. When his daughter introduced him to lentils, particularly red lentils, he discovered a whole new world of quick-cooking legumes that felt lighter and digested more easily for him. The best part? Changing up the beans allowed Greg to cycle through various vitamins and minerals, giving his body a broader nutrient base to work with. Nutritionally, different beans excel in different areas. For instance, chickpeas are rich in folate and have a lovely buttery texture when cooked properly. Red lentils break down quickly into a creamy consistency that's perfect for soups and stews, ideal if you have trouble chewing or want a smoother texture. Darker beans like kidneys or adzuki beans can bring a robust flavor that pairs beautifully with heartier spices. By exploring these varieties, you might stumble upon a bean that works especially well for your taste buds, cooking style, and dietary needs. Physically, incorporating a wide range of beans can offer more diverse micronutrients and help keep your gut microbiome happy. Remember, gut health is crucial as we age, influencing everything from digestion to immune function. Emotionally, variety can keep you excited about cooking and trying new recipes. Learning about a new bean type, experimenting with cooking times, or pairing it with fresh herbs can reignite that spark in the kitchen. An experience of joy and curiosity that benefits our overall well-being. If you're hesitant, start small. Maybe swap out your usual navy beans for cannellini beans in that soup recipe, or replace pinto beans with black-eyed peas in your next stew. You never know what new favorite you'll discover. And if you really want to get adventurous, check out your local international market for rarer beans you might not find in a typical grocery store. We've just covered a lot of ground, and hopefully you're seeing beans in a whole new light. Whether that means soaking them properly, salting them at the right time, adjusting cooking times, layering on flavor, or exploring new varieties. By making these small but significant changes in how you handle beans, you're opening yourself up to meals that can be both nutritious and deeply satisfying. Let's take a quick moment for reflection. Have you already started thinking about which adjustment you want to make first? Maybe it's soaking your beans overnight for the first time, or perhaps you're ready to try a new bean variety this week. Sometimes simply deciding on a first step can be the best way to ensure you'll actually follow through. It's incredible how a humble ingredient can have such a meaningful impact on our day-to-day quality of life. Because it's not just about the beans themselves, it's about the energy to attend your granddaughter's piano recital without feeling drained. It's about the comfort of a warm bowl of chili on a cold night, shared with a neighbor or friend. It's about the sense of independence and well-being that comes from preparing your own wholesome meals. Now that we've walked through these 5 common mistakes, neglecting the soak, misusing salt, messing up the cooking time, skipping flavor-building steps, and limiting ourselves to just one type of bean, what does it all boil down to for you? If you're like many seniors, you probably want to maintain or improve your health, keep your meals interesting, and preserve your autonomy in the kitchen. Each of these tips can help you do just that. You don't have to give up on beans because they feel heavy or bland. With a few careful tweaks, you can make them an enjoyable, consistent part of your meals. Let's talk about the best way to get started. If you're feeling excited and ready for a deeper dive, you could plan a bean week where you try out different soaking methods, seasoning techniques, or varieties across different days. If you're less certain, maybe just apply one tip at a time to see how it goes. Even something as simple as adding an aromatic vegetable to the pot can bring noticeable improvements. The key is to do something soon while your motivation is fresh. Don't wait for the day when you finally get around to it. Your health and enjoyment of food matter right now, and small changes can add up quickly. As for next steps, you might share this video with a friend or family member who also enjoys cooking. Compare notes or even make it a social event. You could also subscribe or follow this channel if you are interested in more tips tailored to adults over 65. If you feel like you want a written cheat sheet, jot down the 5 mistakes and post them on your fridge so you remember them the next time you cook. Any or all of these actions will reinforce the good information you've absorbed today. Ultimately, though, it's you who has the final say on what goes into your pot. And that's an empowering position to be in. Whether you're cooking for yourself, a partner, or the entire extended family, you're the one shaping the meal. That sense of ownership can be a powerful motivator to keep learning and experimenting. So embrace it. Don't be afraid to try something new, especially if it might lead to a healthier, tastier dish. Above all, remember that you are not too old to change how you cook. Every day is a fresh opportunity to refine your approach, discover new foods, and take control of your health. Even if you've had a rocky relationship with beans in the past, that doesn't have to be your story moving forward. You've got the knowledge, you've got the curiosity, and you deserve delicious, nourishing meals. So go ahead, pick up that bag of dried beans you've been ignoring, or grab a variety you've never tried before. Apply the soaking method, mind the salt, keep an eye on cooking times, add those aromatics, and consider branching out beyond your usual bean routine. You just might find that this small shift in your kitchen routine blossoms into a whole new level of enjoyment and well-being in your life. And that's it for today's deep dive into the art of cooking beans after 65. I hope this inspires you to spice things up, literally and figuratively. Let me know how it goes or if you have any questions or experiences to share. By commenting, sharing, or subscribing, you can help others discover these tips as well. Most importantly, remember that each meal is a chance to nourish not just your body, but also your spirit. With a few mindful changes, you can savor every bite, comfortably, confidently, and joyfully. Thank you for joining me on this culinary exploration. Here's to flavorful bean dishes and the vibrant health that comes with them. Happy cooking, and I can't wait to hear about your new bean adventures.